Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as usual by Tucker coming on Game Pass. Hazel, and we're here today to talk about Xbox's and Bethesda's joint E3 showcase, or quote unquote, because
Yeah.
summer's a fucking disaster. But before
Oh
we
yeah.
talk about all the announcements, the news, the state of play, if you will, but not that state of play, be sure to join our Discord to talk to us about all of that. Link top of the description. And down there, like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Tell
Yep.
us, tell us your favorite piece of bardcore media.
Oh yeah. I'm a big fan of the Bardcore DK rap.
I have not seen that, and I
Link
don't
in the
want to.
description.
Tucker, here's the situation, right? Presentation happens. I immediately leave from an undisclosed location to reach this undisclosed location. And during that time, my fucking heart and soul were aching not being able to discuss this with you. So we said,
Sure.
when I arrive, we're going to get right to it and we're going to talk about the showcase. But before we get into Tucker Hazel, tier master himself's breakdown of these sort of announcements by importance, top level, high level, 40,000 feet, the height of your plane in Microsoft Flight Simulator, Tucker. How do you feel about the showcase?
I haven't had an emotional roller coaster when it comes to this. This showcase has
That seems like a appropriate response. Yes.
yeah. It has led me to some interesting introspection about what I enjoy out of games, what I expect out of different
Sure.
companies, what I like out of press conferences and hype rollouts and these sort of things. And I was having a good time while watching it. As the showcase ended, I was feeling pretty down on it. But as I've stacked everything up in terms of what they showed and filtered it through the lens of this is only the things coming within the next 12 months,
Yeah.
my thought process has reframed a little bit. I still do have some pretty large problems with this showcase on the whole, and a few of the ways that they rolled out certain things, didn't give concrete information about certain things didn't like feel like they really need to be included. But I do think there is some good stuff in here, and I'm interested to talk about a few things and see how it breaks down for you, how it breaks down in terms of future interest, or for future projecting, how important we think things are going to be. But I'm whelmed by this showcase.
Sure.
Erring on a side of a little bit underwhelmed because that was my initial
Yeah.
impressions. But I do think that this showcase could grow on me in retrospect. No, I know I'm one of the few who rewatches
Right.
showcases, but I do, and it is possible that once I play a few of these games, once a few of these games that I'm not very hot on come out, and if they're good, then maybe I'll look back and be like, oh, this was announced here. That's pretty cool. But
Yeah.
that's some future projection I can't really add to my discussion at the moment. But as it stands, yeah, for
Mm.
me, it just feels like them staying the course,
Sure.
and I'm not excited by what I saw here today, which I think is my biggest problem with it. I'm not
Yeah.
amped about almost anything I saw.
Yeah. You're not underwhelmed. You're not overwhelmed. You're whelmed. I was overwhelmed by the number of minutes in the showcase
Sure, it's like
because here's
95.
and that there's 95 of them, and
Let's count
we
them. One, two.
we've we did that joke at the Warhammer 40K in the Summer Game Fest room. We can't do it
No,
again.
you did.
you, you were a conscientious objector. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Here's where I come down on it. And I said this in the past, I said in the Discord, during the Discord. These showcases are too long. They don't hold my
Yes.
interest. They bore me. And here's the situation.
They bore me.
I think that this is a material example of what I mean, right?
Sure.
Because long car ride, scrolling Twitter, talking to you, talking to our community, I became a lot more positive on the showcase because I wasn't sitting through like 7 minute demonstrations of these games, right?
Yeah.
I think that, and I said this before the showcase, this is going to be a gameplay focused event. And I think that Microsoft has felt like whiplash because last year there was too much cinematics, like no more cinematics. They're like, okay, no more
Although that
cinematics.
isn't categorically true.
Right.
There are some here that did not have gameplay.
Sure. But there was a lot more gameplay. I
Yeah,
think too much gameplay.
I would
And
agree.
and they said that there's going to be an extended cut of this on Monday. There's no fucking prayer in hell I'm watching that. Let me tell you that right now.
I will fish the discussions afterward for information, but I
Yes.
will not watch it.
Yeah, no, I'll refresh Nibel's Twitter. That's
Yeah.
what I'll do.
Yes.
But to me, spending this much time on the games just dilutes their impact. Especially,
Yeah.
and one of the points I had after last year's E3 showcase from Xbox was, well, all these games are coming to Game Pass. I can just play them.
Mhm.
So there's an interesting situation where you need to sell me a little bit less on these games
Mhm.
because I'm just gonna have access to them. I'll play
Sure.
them for an hour on Game Pass. If I don't like them, that's all. That's the marketing I need, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, God damn it. Whew. Starfield speaking directly to me. It's in hindsight, I'm like, that game looks fucking awesome. But in the moment, I'm like, I don't need to see this right now, right?
Hmm.
And so that's where I come down on it. The showcase to me was boring.
Hmm.
The content of it, and I had said this on Twitter, it's like a continuation of Microsoft's efforts to prove that they are more than Forza, Halo, and Gears. And I
Hmm.
think they did that. Well, of course, we saw
Yeah.
Forza, but we saw a lot more too, games across all scales. A lot of interesting Japanese announcements too. A lot of games here that did not make sense here, but I don't mean that in a negative way. Like, doesn't make sense that Hollow Knight was here, but it was.
Hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
very exciting that Microsoft's being aggressive in that way. So I am quite excited about the next 12 months of Xbox going through June of next year. But I don't want to see another game showcase.
Well, I would say that your hope for that is very low, or the likelihood of that hope coming to fruition is very
Of
low,
course, of course.
considering we get multiple showcases per year from all these fucking companies, and
It's
we'll just see.
hyperbolic, but
And every time
hitting them up.
you'll come out disappointed, but then you'll realize that there's good stuff in there. And it's
Yeah.
a cycle, and you know what? It's fun. It's fun. I'm gonna be honest. I have a good time with it. Um, but so one thing I do want to say, just sort of
Yeah.
finishing up this larger thoughts before we get into specifics, is when you say them breaking out of their mold of Forza Gears Halo,
Yeah.
sure, yes, that is absolutely true. But I also think that has not necessarily been true for showcases that they've had for the last like 6 years. Like their showcases are not focused on those. They're
Sure.
always showing a variety of games, especially since Game Pass came out. They're always putting all these games in their showcases. And for me, a lot of what makes this showcase underwhelming and a little bit frustrating to me is it does seem like they're maybe overcompensating for not being the Forza Gears Halo company and instead focusing on quantity over curation. And a lot of the games here felt like this didn't need to be shown here. It feels like a game that I've kind of seen before. It's coming to
Yeah.
Game Pass because they can get it, but not because it's super exciting. They're showing it here because it's coming to Game Pass, not because it does necessarily deserves a big slot in a showcase like this. I feel like if the fat, quote unquote, and of course that's very subjective, was trimmed out, I would be pleased with this conference if it
Yeah,
was
sure.
focused on the first party games. If what was shown that was too long was trimmed down a little bit, I would have certainly been more positive. But when it feels like Game Pass is quantity and not necessarily quality, that's what starts to irk me a little bit. And I feel like so many of the games here feel like they exist to pad out a showcase and be like, wow, we're no longer the Forza Gears Halo. Look at all these games we have. But I just really don't know how many people are interested in a huge amount of these games.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, my feeling is like, if I watched everything on Netflix, I'd want to kill myself, right?
Yeah.
And I think that to a certain point, you're right. There is it seems like at times the bar to get on Game Pass is maybe not that high.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you have some of the biggest games in the industry in these respective genres, as we'll talk about,
Mhm.
to me, there's nothing wrong with padding out that weekly Game Pass or biweekly, whatever it is, Game Pass refresh either. But let's
Sure.
do you want to start at your bottom or your top or your
Hmm.
middle? Because you have it broken down by tier, I believe you told me
Yeah,
before I
I
started
have it
recording.
loosely broken down by tier, and of course, this is going to show a little bit of subjectivity. I think
Yeah,
that there is some merit to things at the below. I feel like make sense at the bottom versus the top,
sure.
but we can discuss those. I think starting in the middle and then maybe doing a little sine wave in terms of excitement might help this to feel a little fresh.
Go for it.
But we're gonna start with the C tier stuff, and I'll just
Yeah.
rattle off some things, and if interrupt me if something sparks your
Yes.
interest in discussion. Um, First thing at the top of my C tier is the Pelican from Halo and Flight Simulator. Makes sense.
Okay.
Like it's a thing. Sure,
It's
fine.
a fun
That's
DLC
okay.
update. Who cares?
Arc 2 coming 2023. Only cinematic, no gameplay. A Hot Wheels expansion for Forza Horizon 5. Very similar to the Flight Sim thing. Scorn coming October 21st. Now, this maybe I'm feeling a little bit of buyer's remorse putting it in C tier because I do think this game does look interesting.
Yeah, Scorn is a bigger deal than you're letting on, but also I think it looks yucky and I never want to play it.
Yeah.
But I know that this is I believe this Scorn is a game of pedigree. I'm not familiar with its history. I believe this is the second game, or it's been long in development. It's one or the other. But a lot of people are buzzing about this one. I don't really know why, because again, I think there are few games This to me is as repellent as Banjo-Kazooie, but for a completely opposite reason.
Yeah, sure. And of course, if you watched our showcase, you know that we were doing every gross game. Hey, maybe this is the next Banjo Kazooie game. So it's a little bit of
Sure.
a joke going on there. But yeah, Scorn. You know, maybe
Yeah,
I would put that in a B tier. Actually,
sure.
I'll rescind my information.
Thank you.
Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, 2023. The Last Case of Benedict Fox,
People
spring
seem to be
2023.
quite excited about that. That's the side-scrolling title, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed by the art style. I'm curious what the gameplay is. People are like, oh, it's a little bit of like Luigi's Mansion thrown in there and some various things. Again,
Didn't
to
pick
me,
it up from the trailer, but
to me, this is very much like boom. It's on Game Pass. This is the type of deal I want to check out. I think about the Artful Escape, right? I didn't end up enjoying the Artful Escape very much. I didn't come
yeah.
close to finishing it, but nonetheless, it's quite a compelling title to have on there.
Mhm.
To me, these are the sort of like interesting independent titles
Sure.
that I like having on the service.
Mhm.
But
Grounded full release September 2022. I think that launching that game in early access has killed that game's Steam, and it's unfortunate because it is, as far as I know, it might be one of Microsoft's only first party games like releasing this year, quote unquote, even
yeah,
though it's in early access. But I think it could have been a big deal and or at least a reasonably sized deal if they hadn't put it out in early access. But I just don't see that game gaining any goodwill when it releases in September.
nothing to
Uh,
add.
yeah. Uh, Ereban Shadow Legacy. I'm putting these names here, but honestly, I almost don't remember them.
Yeah.
Coming out in 2023. Ravenlock coming out in 2023.
This one was interesting to me. I do like the art style. Again, this is another one that I'll certainly try. This is the one for people who don't remember. It's like the more traditional cartoony world, and you get pulled through that mirror to like that pseudo pixelized world, sort of the voxel based environments. It seems like maybe like a little bit of 3D platforming, a little bit of like 3D character action in there a little bit. I don't know exactly what it is, but again, it's this sort of weird thing that I wouldn't expect to see here. So I'll give it a
Mm-hmm.
shot.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
This is a S tier announcement. 100%. This game is this is Koei Tecmo's new game from the people who made Neo.
Mm-hmm.
From the people behind Neo. One of the directors is from Neo. I forget who the other director is. Let me see if I can find this quickly. But this was a huge get for them because the Neo titles on PlayStation were absolutely gigantic. So this is another one that has that sort of combination of, first of all, okay, here it is right here. Yeah, the producers of Team Ninja's new game Wolong Fallen Dynasty are Fumihiko Yasuda from Neo and Masaki Yamagawa from Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
These are big names. This Team Ninja has really come up in pedigree after the Neo titles. So this was a big get for them. I'm not too much into this brand of character action. I'd much rather it was closer to like a Ninja Gaiden or something. But nonetheless, for people who aren't me, this is a huge one.
Sure. I mean, honestly, I didn't realize any of that.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't know if any of that information necessarily changes my perspective on this. I don't think that, and I think maybe it is just, this is, of course, first impressions.
Yeah.
Getting that information out there. Okay. It does change it a little bit because you're right. This is from reputable creators and such.
Yeah.
But that trailer just felt like another character action game. Like,
Yeah,
yes,
sure.
I saw the logo Team Ninja, but you could have easily replaced that with anything else. I wouldn't have never felt like, oh, this is from a team that knows their stuff a lot more than I could have seen this trailer from any other team. So I really felt nothing watching a trailer for this, and really, I mean, in terms of visual quality and excitement value, I really do. I felt like this was padding.
I mean, sure, yeah. I'm. This is one that would have been interesting to see gameplay for, especially since they're all within 12 months to know if it's
Sure
to know which side of that Team Ninja divide is going to fall in a little bit more. But again, this is a sort of game
But
that
Team
you
Ninja did not do Bloodborne.
No. But one of the producers is from Bloodborne. I was just reading that off of off of Nabal's Twitter. But this is again the sort of game that should be a PlayStation console exclusive. The same way the Neo titles were.
Sure.
So it's kind of showing Xbox is poaching in that direction again. And there was a period of time in the 360 era where they were very much going after stuff like this,
and it is on Game Pass. I'm not sure if it is console exclusive. They were showing there were so many fucking buzzwords in front of every announcement that they all just kind of go in one or the other. Very hard to remember those sort of things. But if it is, I will certainly give them credit where credit is due for that, because you're right in terms of balancing out Neo versus this. I mean, if this is good, that is something to their staple, to their to add to their catalog. But this trailer did nothing for me, and I guess I stand by that. But I can't really argue too much past subjectivity there.
Sure.
Let's jump up to some of the more important stuff. And I'm incriminating myself through these fucking tiers.
That's fine. It doesn't matter. This is a judgment-free zone. But the comments aren't. Leave a comment and make fun of
Tucker. Okay, so I think that maybe the most interesting things to come out of this, in terms of, even if they weren't particularly interesting to me, were Kojima working with Xbox, which I definitely want to talk about, and Hollow Knight Silksong having basically its second ever trailer here.
Yeah. Which one do you start with?
Kojima.
Okay.
Because I think there's less to say about that. Because this is unfortunate, sort of a. This is an external bit to my thing of, hey, everything in this showcase is coming out within the year. This game probably isn't coming out for 3 or 4 years. And knowing how Death Stranding was announced and released, it could be even longer than that. But on concept value, Kojima game, immensely interesting. Console exclusive for Xbox, immensely exciting. Huge get for their pedigree.
Yeah.
But in terms of how it was announced, the most bare bones, like, not exciting way that combination of things could be revealed.
Yeah, I mean, so Death Stranding is an interesting one, because that was a very quick turnaround from reveal to release. It was what, 2 years? For Kojima, 2 years?
No.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Because I was in my freshman year of high school when that game was announced. When we saw the whales floating in the sky and the sand memes and stuff. Or sophomore year.
No, there's no way, because that would have been before Phantom Pain. Death Stranding wasn't revealed until post Kojima Productions, because he wasn't working on that at Konami. Death Stranding was revealed, I think, in 2017. This is
2016.
2016 for Death Stranding. Okay, so the year, so the year after.
Yeah, so sophomore year.
So the year after.
And then it released our freshman year of college.
Yeah, so 3 years, about 3 years roughly. So it's going to be a while. I think what's important about this is that it's Kojima. That's really all they needed to say right now, right?
Yeah.
I've long since given up the ghost that when a game's gonna get announced, we're gonna get a lot of information about it. I mean, and also I think it's important to say that you have Kojima, right?
Yeah, of course.
It's actually a little bit unfathomable that Xbox got Kojima. It doesn't make any sense. No. And to me, this is another one of those examples where they're really fucking gunning for something different for their brand, right?
Yeah.
Not only in terms of getting Kojima, who does not make Xbox games, really. I mean, some of the games cross-release on Xbox, but he makes PlayStation games.
Is Phantom Pain the only Kojima game that's ever released on Xbox systems?
No.
The Metal Gear Collection.
Metal Gear, and Zone of the Enders. One of the Zone of the Enders is on there.
Sure, but it's a minimal part of his gamography.
So having him here is huge. But not only having him here when, by all traditional logic, he should be making another PlayStation game after Death Stranding. And at the same time, you're also throwing him at a completely new way to develop games for cloud, whatever that's really going to mean. We don't know yet. But I love
at the moment.
Sure, but there's obviously a level of computing power and affordances there that we don't even understand. I've got no fucking idea how to speculate about that.
Yeah,
but
he's going to create a whole new genre, the cloud type genre.
The cloud type genre. Yeah, getting this idea, throwing this together, and saying, Kojima, here's money, go make a game for us.
Yeah.
That is the sort of platform I want to be in, or ecosystem I want to be in, where you get this big name, you got this big idea, and he just runs with it. Very, very exciting. And to me, it's not on the level of a Bethesda acquisition or an Activision acquisition, but it's the sort of thing of like, we're willing to wheedle anybody out of here. We're willing to go to Hideo Kojima, who really helped make PlayStation what PlayStation. Of
course, yeah,
and fucking steal him for ourselves for a game. Yeah, so we'll see.
I completely agree with you. I think where we diverge slightly is, for me, this is maybe the most exciting part of this showcase because it does what you're saying. But for me, it makes me want to be in this ecosystem in 3 years.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, a lot of what I was hoping for in this showcase is seeing a very direct, we're shifting directions. Our studios are gunning for different things,
Yeah.
but we didn't get a ton here that was new or well, there's a handful, but they're pretty minimal or exciting. And I think that we as the games industry have been seeing Microsoft grow and being next year. That's the year when they're really gonna start gunning. All their games are coming out. They've got all
Yeah.
these studios. It's gonna be super diverse. And I don't feel like we saw that here, but the Kojima thing is the
Yeah.
biggest sign of, sure, 3-4 years time, that when that game's coming out, if it's surrounded by other things, god damn, that'll be a good year for Xbox. But that's, I'll be married with kids and dead in the ground by then. So
Yeah, in 3 years you'll be married, children, and dead. That's you got some fucking
quote
ground
me
to
on
cover.
that.
But no, I think you're right. I obviously two things. Obviously, Microsoft has a management issue on a studio level.
Yeah.
Making sure like Perfect Dark has issues, Halo Infinite has issues. There's problems there, right? That's one. The second that is a must solve issue. The other one is just unfortunately games that are this far out are just not fucking ready because of COVID.
Yeah.
This is where we're starting to really feel the COVID delays. We felt them last fall. We're still feeling them here, right? So my expectations going to a showcase like this is like, am I still on the most subjective level? Do I still agree with my own hypothesis that this is where I want to be playing my games?
Sure.
And it is, it's about hearing, okay, we're willing to make these kinds of these movements, as we'll get into with the Persona things and others. We're willing to go to areas that are not connotated with our brand. It's not where our market share is. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. And the Kojima thing to me is just very exciting. And that excitement is what I need.
No, I absolutely agree. I think that what the most interesting thing about this is it signals, and we obviously have felt this from Xbox before. They are the most transparent one of the big three.
Certainly.
In the industry by far. I think that if PlayStation or Nintendo was more transparent and they were able to make announcements of this caliber saying like, hey, the next 3D Mario is in development. We've got this big thing. Of course it is. But like we don't get these kind of announcements from them. Even if they do have things coming down the pipeline, they're holding the cards closer to their chest. So it's certainly a balancing act, but you're right, and it is a great thing that they are being transparent about this. But Hollow Knight Silksong, not particularly exciting for me personally. I don't know if I'm gonna play it. I enjoyed what I played of Hollow Knight. Game was too hard for me. I fully admit that. But this game's a huge fucking deal. And the fact that we saw it here and absolutely did not any shit in the world think we were going to see it here. It was probably the pop of the showcase for me.
Oh,
especially because there were no leaks about it. Kojima was sort of rumored that he was going to be working on an Xbox game.
I'll just say I wonder because again, this was a showcase for the next 12 months. Kojima's game obviously not in that.
No.
But I wonder if that little video segment was recorded in light of like, okay, that's been fucking. We just blew out what overdose is. We're talking about all this shit. I wonder if they're just like, okay, let's go through the showcase a little bit. But that's not the here nor there. Silksong, very interesting. I really enjoyed Hollow Knight. I didn't finish it. I think I just kind of lost steam. I want to try it again because I really did enjoy the game and I think I would really fuck with it. The difficulty curve to me was just right. Like this, there's some difficult games that are just too fucking hard for me. They feel oppressively hard. But to me, Hollow Knight was right on that edge of my skill level where I was like, okay,
sure,
I can fight through this and it's fun. Unlike Cuphead, for instance. But so I think I'm gonna play this one again.
Delicious Last Course coming next week for only $8, whatever the fuck.
Oh my god, it's fucking bizarre. But yeah, again, this is another one. There's like getting this was so weird in a good way.
Weird, yeah, in a very good way. And coming to Game Pass.
Yeah, and it's a day one Game Pass game. So sorry, Nintendo, I'm not playing it on Switch now. I'd be very curious to kind of learn what happened there because it's kind of assumed that Switch's lead platform here, like. But then this happens. So I'm very curious. And again, it shows you that nothing is safe with Microsoft. I think that's an important takeaway from today. Nothing is safe. They will go after whatever the fuck they want to go after. And I think that is a really dangerous competitor to have. And that makes me excited.
Yeah. So actually, I have a point, but I'll save it till after we finish up these.
He's putting down a trap card.
We're jumping back to the bottom. We're jumping back to the bottom, and I'll be interested to hear if you refute any of these. Like you refute a few of my C-tier ones.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves season 7, you can buy boats now. Which, by the way, no fucking clue how that wasn't already in the game. I would have told you it was.
It was unclear to me if that was like you can now be like the captain of a ship. Because here's the thing: I don't play Sea of Thieves, so I don't really know. I would like to. I think for people who care about CFTs, this is a big deal, akin to any other live service game you
Yeah,
enjoy. So I think this one almost like belongs in a different tier list. It's like
sure.
to the people who care, it's really exciting. To the people
Mhm.
who don't play Sea of Thieves, obviously it doesn't matter. It's kind of
Yeah,
how I feel about like Fortnite getting a new chapter. You know
of
what I mean?
course. Yeah, absolutely. Um, a new they're adding a new area to Elder Scrolls Online. It's called the High Isle.
Yeah, this is another one where like console MMOs, you got your Warframes, you got your Final Fantasy 14s, and then you got Elder Scrolls Online. I
Yeah,
don't play any of those because I'm not a fucking dweeb.
yeah.
But it looks
No,
again, it's just another
that's
expansion.
not what I found.
Same with Fallout 76. Don't even bother mentioning it. I have nothing to say.
Oh, well, yeah, that's coming. Actually, yeah, let's just
Yeah,
say Fallout 76 is getting expansion.
yeah.
Frankly, no clue how the fucking game is still getting support, but
Apparently
whatever.
it's better. Apparently it's a lot like
Apparently
a
better.
real game now.
That usually happens with these games, it seems.
Yeah.
Uh, Ara History Untold from the creators who helped make the genre, which we've never.
Oh yeah, that was unclear to me. That didn't make sense.
And also in a game that was no gameplay. This was a cinematic trailer, and I thought it was Civ. We thought it was maybe Age of Empires, but Age of Empires 4 came out last year. The fucking team was apparently important, but I looked them up and I couldn't I couldn't figure it out.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of them, but
I just look it up and Twitter just says it's Ashes of Singularity. It's the only other game they've made. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, yeah. Revealed today was a turn-based strategy title from the team behind Ashes of Singularity. I don't know what that is. I don't know what this is.
peculiar.
This is another one where I don't know how to place it because I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's fine.
Gunfire Reborn.
Apparently, it's another game with a pedigree elsewhere on PC or something. I don't know.
No idea. A little animals shooting guns or some shit. I don't.
Yeah.
It didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
As Dusk Falls.
This is an interesting one to me. I don't think this belongs in the bottom tier.
Sure.
But this is another perfect game to have on Game Pass because I'm unsure about the whole comic book aesthetic. I'm unsure about the narrative, but I like that they're going for it. So I'm willing to give it a shot. I don't know if I'll like it. I don't know if it'll be useful. We'll find out.
The only reason I'm turned off by it, but that of course doesn't mean I'm against trying it. Period. Is that it's the frame by frame skipping between actions is really jarring to me. And I love the art style. If it was more fluid, I like narrative games. That's not my problem. But skipping around, very strong artistic choice.
Yeah.
Not one that resonates with me personally.
Yeah.
Lightyear Frontier. Do you remember what that is?
I do remember what this is. This is the mech farming game.
Yeah. Yeah. And Naraka Blade Point, which is coming out in like 10 days.
Yeah, who gives a fuck?
Okay, all right. So it seems like I was pretty good with my bottom tier.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine with me.
You'll allow it? All right. And let's jump back up to the rest of it, which is going to be higher tier stuff. And which I believe this includes basically everything from Microsoft's first party studios.
Yeah.
Although I'm not starting with one. Overwatch 2 finally got another trailer here. The game is coming in early access October 4th.
Free to play.
What does that mean? The game is now free to play. They announced a new hero, Junker Queen. This game is so fucking confusing to me, man. And that's sad because I'm one of the biggest Overwatch fans that I know. I might have fallen off of it because I don't have a working PC anymore, but I really hope that free to play gives this game the boost that Blizzard needs, frankly. Any thoughts?
I think this game's embarrassing. I think Overwatch 2 is an embarrassing video game. I don't really know how you do this to yourself. I don't know how you so fundamentally misunderstand how to expand upon Overwatch to the point where you make a sequel and then completely like reverse course and like fucking stick them together and then so minutely change the gameplay and how that constituted. I mean, Overwatch is one of the new IPs of the last 10 years and they've completely fucked it up. I have no interest in Overwatch 2 at all. Yeah. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and I've got no interest in the sequel.
I think the thing that frustrates me the most with what we now know about this game is that we've kind of been gliding along on next to no information for like 3 years now, and they just sort of soft announced that, hey, it's maybe the multiplayer is coming out later this year, and you can try a couple of the characters, but It's not the full game release
Not the
date.
PVE on October 4th?
No, as far as I know,
Okay.
early access wouldn't really make much sense for the single player
Yeah.
content. And they didn't show off any of that here. Uh, the meat of what Overwatch 2
Yeah.
is the single player content. Is the story mode, is the co-op missions, is the PvE.
Yeah.
And that even applies to new mechanics and engine and stuff like that. That's what it's geared for. I think that giving it that refresh with free to play, a couple new heroes, and the updated visuals and such could reinvigorate the game. But I
Sure.
think not launching it with the meat of what this game is, why it's important to this franchise, is very confusing to me. And as an Overwatch fan who wants it to come back, this isn't very confident to me. This is kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah, we have the stuff. Let's just let them play it soon.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's almost a Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe bit
Sure.
of like just put a number on the box and it's different now. And yeah, this game is a massive disappointment to me, categorically.
Yeah.
I will play the PvE stuff. If it's not coming this year, then I'm not playing Overwatch 2.
We'll fucking see.
It's that
We'll see
simple.
what happens. But also, I do want to clarify something that I was going to say a little bit earlier, but I think will absolutely apply to what we're about to see.
Oh.
And this is a good example of that. Is this showcase was a lot of games, but very few of them had absolute concrete information. It was early access. It was vague release dates. It was here's a gameplay trailer. It's kind of what we've seen before. And that really does apply to the higher tier games that I'm about to talk about, where all of them, outside of a couple of exceptions, and that applies to this entire showcase, are year windows.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I like what you said during our reaction about if you're not confident in a release date, don't announce one. But if it is a little bit weird that no one is confident in release date, and that makes me a little bit worried for what the rest of this year is going to look like. If we're just getting year windows for all the games still coming this year, how many of them are going to get pushed to next year? And then how many of the ones that we're seeing coming next year are going to push to the second half of next year, and then out of next year? Like this is on a shifting timetable because nothing has concrete information. When they put up their graphics saying, "Hey, here's what's coming to Game Pass," and like 4 of them have like these are the dates they're coming out, you're like, I can't really like schedule out what their rest of their 2022 is going to be or the first half of their 2023 because no team has release dates or even months. Very confusing to me.
Yeah, I think you're right. I would be very curious to I'd be very curious to know how far away these teams are from knowing what their release date is. Not even how far they are from release necessarily. How much work has to be done until they know, boom, let's nail down that date.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that the Xbox is adamant about this 12-month window thing. Adamant about it. Like people,
they're adamant about it for now.
And that's the thing, right?
Yes.
You can go on Twitter and the Xbox account, somebody was like, so you're telling me Silksong's out in the next 12 months? We're saying Silksong is out in the next 12 months, right? So, okay, we can basically play with like June 2022 to June 2023. I'm fine with that. Again, never tell me a release date ever again. Nobody ever tell me a release date unless you know you can hit it. I never want to hear another release date again. That's going to get pushed. Work on the games at the pace that makes sense and release them when they're ready.
Yeah. And
I am not interested in having my fucking balls yanked with 3 different release dates for a game anymore. It's happened so frequently in the last 18 months or so.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think it just speaks to a larger period of tumult in kind of the entire industry.
No, absolutely. I mean, I don't blame these teams for not knowing the release dates. I think it is indicative of something when no one has concrete. Like, I think there might have been like 2-day release dates that we know these games are coming, and those few games are like within the next 3 months. But I think that not even like season windows or month windows is a little bit strange to me because I can't tell if these games are all going to be releasing like within a month of each other or something like that, which would cannibalize all of them. And like planning out a release calendar is important, especially when you're the ones like producing and sharing the information about all these games. And next 12 months is a big window, and all these games can fit into the next 12 months. But how many of them won't make those next 12 months? How many of them will release on top of one another because these teams are communicating? Who knows? But I think that might be one of my biggest problems with this showcase. Is that nothing felt concrete. I can't like get excited for the rest of the year for Xbox because I don't even know if these games are going to be releasing this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I'll be curious to see when the Nintendo Direct inevitably happens. I'll be curious to see how many of those games get hard dates.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'll be curious because I mean, feels like fucking twice a week we get a new leak about when God of War is releasing. It just seems like nobody has any clue. I mean, Sony's got what, 2 exclusives on the board right now? Stray and Last of Us Part 1 with
this year.
hard release dates. Nintendo's got one, right? So
what?
They've got one. I mean, we have Scarlet and Violet nailed down.
Yeah.
For the
so I guess Splatoon doesn't have a fucking release date yet.
No, Splatoon does. Oh yeah, no, never mind. I'm talking about that's fucking not true at all. I was trying to think towards like
Fire
fall.
Warriors. Oh
yeah,
sure.
Thinking about a little bit further out, like towards that fall window. And I guess Splatoon is catches at the end of that. So, but like Bayonetta is undated, Mario Rabbids is undated,
True.
Advance Wars is undated, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
we'll see. But I think you're
right. So here's where the most interesting part of this comes.
Yeah.
Because I think that all the games I'm about to mention here are important and interesting for different reasons. So let's go through these. Let's start with where they started, which is with Redfall, which was releasing 2023.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Redfall?
I'm certainly more interested in it now than before. Seeing the gameplay, as you're mentioning, like, oh, what's the single player element here? And it seems like there might be a little bit more single player potential here than I realized.
Yeah.
Seeing the setting in motion, I like it. Again, as I was basically saying, it's co-op shooter. But if I'm going to play a co-op shooter, I'm going to play it from a team with this level of prestige and with this unique of an identity, right?
Sure.
It's a framework of people, and they got powers, and they're shooting undead things or creatures of some kind, right? But I like that. I like that Massachusetts island setting. I like the color palette. I like the abilities. Like that girl is like got like a fucking mystical umbrella, like a phantom umbrella or whatever. Like that little robot guy. It has a strong. Back for Blood has no identity. Rainbow Six Extraction has no identity, right? To me, this feels like a familiar archetype done in a way that piques my interest more.
Sure,
so I'm compelled to try it.
I'd say I'm on the same page as you, but I'm only on half of the page.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I think that you're right when you're comparing it to something like Back for Blood or Rainbow Six Extraction, which are games I have less interest in.
Yeah.
I like Bethesda. I like Arcane. I'm interested in this as the first Bethesda game releasing under Microsoft. I guess you can say Ghostwire Tokyo and Deathloop, but then they're
PlayStation exclusives,
question marks, whatever. But I also do think that for me, I don't quite feel that strong of an identity from this.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen a lot of hero shooters where people have different powers and they're fighting, faceless zombies and stuff like that. It is dark. It might have an energy, but for me, it really is something that I'll have to get my hands on and maybe watch the trailers for and like pay attention to them a little more. When I'm watching the gameplay for this, it does feel like I've seen this before. Whether it's Overwatch or Battleborn or all these games that have one guy with the robot and one guy with the wand, and like plenty of games have this kind of concept. So for me, it doesn't like grab me, except for the fact that it's Arcane and that it's Bethesda and that it's Xbox first party. So we'll see how this game comes out.
And again, for me, at a certain point, it's like it is Arcane, it's Bethesda, it's Xbox first party, it's in Game Pass. So what more do I really need to at least get it on my console?
Sure, of course.
But the question for me is not, do I want to play Redfall? The question for me is, do I want to spend weeks returning to Redfall?
Of course.
And that I probably won't know, no matter how many trailers we see, until I'm actually playing it.
Absolutely. High on Life, October 2022. We got a month window here.
Yeah.
Squanch Games, first person shooter. Your guns are little funky characters who talk to you. I thought those looked pretty cool. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah.
The gameplay of it didn't look particularly inventive or unique.
Yeah.
But it has a personality. It has a very strong personality, which is something that I can't really say about a lot of the games that we saw here. I think lacking in personality might be why I'm disconnected from a huge number of them. But this one instantly jumped out at me. Of course, Squanch Games, they've got their bit. They've got Justin Roiland voice and things. It's not a new identity, but it does definitely stand out from the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It doesn't speak to me at all. It's just not my thing. Yeah, I don't like that brand of humor.
Sure, that's fine. We also got Riot Games coming to Game Pass, quote unquote, and I
Yeah.
add air quotes because, as far as I can tell, it's not coming. These games aren't coming to console. It is mobile and PC, where these games are already available, and they're all free to play anyway. So what you're getting is all of the unlockables in these games
Yeah.
with Game Pass, which is big for the players of League of Legends. Very popular
Yeah.
game. I'm sure a lot of people will get Game Pass because it gives them all the heroes and all these fucking games. But the like layers of strangeness to it make it hard for me to like super get excited for it. But on like a Riot is important, League of Legends is important. They're bonding with Game Pass. Like this is a big deal.
This might be the biggest announcement of the show.
Sure.
Riot's fucking enormous.
Mm-hmm.
These are lifestyle games for people. People just play League. They just play Valorant, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, these are ostensibly, if you have Game Pass, complete experiences now.
Mm-hmm.
Content releases, it's your content. You don't
Sure.
have to fucking put money into microtransactions. You don't have to buy the characters. No more. This is huge. These are multi-billion-dollar games.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be really curious to know what the figure on this is.
Sure.
That deal, because I'm sure that this was not a small deal.
No, and considering how much fucking like all their money is made off of people buying League characters and loot boxes and whatever the fuck.
Yeah. So again, these could not be further from my type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, maybe Teemo strategy games are further away from what I want to play than MOBAs and team shooters, but this is huge. Just not for me.
We've also got Plague's Tale Requiem coming 2022. I don't believe there's even a month or an era on that one, but this one I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Kind of. I honestly don't have too much to say about it, so I would need to play the first one to be interested in this one. But because people say I would be interested in the first one, I'm kind of interested in this one. But it's like 3 steps removed from excitement for me.
Yeah, I for a long time I'm like, oh, I want to play that first Plague Tale game, and I think I will now because I think this one really looks remarkable. Visually, I really am impressed by it, and it seems like they're kind of making what I understand is somewhat simple stealth gameplay and a little bit more complex here. And I love this medieval setting, but a different medieval setting. You know, this is not just like fucking knights and it's not Kingdom Come Deliverance, right? Or something. It's like, yeah, we're in this medieval setting, but you're this girl and her little brother, and you're fucking scooting around, and it's a stealth game. Like that's really unique to me. So it was cool to see it here.
Forza Motorsport. Forza Motorsport is coming 2023.
Yeah. Spring, I believe. Yeah.
Sure. I don't remember if there was a what are they called? Seasons. Yes. A season window on this, but you could be right. I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm much more interested in Horizon. I mean, obviously, Forza Motorsport's a big deal. This is again one of those 3 pillars of Xbox. So, yeah, it's more Forza.
New Forza game. I put this in my higher tier because it is one of the premier first-party games from Xbox. So even if I'm not going to, I might try it. But even if it's not going for me personally, because I'm not super into racing games, especially not the more sim side of things. I recognize that when they're building up their gear, this is going to be a tentpole. So it's going to be a tentpole for Xbox. So important from that regard, but can't say too much about it personally. Another one of the more interesting things of this show, and one of the moments that I popped for, even though it isn't like subjective to me, is that Persona 3 Portable, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 Royal are coming to Game Pass, with Persona 5 Royal coming on October 21st.
This is so weird in a good way.
Strange. Yeah.
I mean, these are some of the most highly desired ports, you know, and they're coming to Xbox. We expect the Nintendo Direct has Persona 3 and Persona 4. Persona 5, I don't know, but Persona 3, Persona 4.
It is a PS3 game.
That's actually a great point. But they're on Xbox's front, right?
Yeah, and on Game Pass.
And they're on Game Pass. And I forget who was saying it, like Chris Scullion was saying on Twitter something like, this doesn't motivate Japanese gamers probably to play on Xbox because like they've probably already played them. But one of the things that I've come to really love about my Series X is how useful it is for exploring the history of the industry.
Mhm.
I think few machines have a better curation and access to the history of games, right?
Mhm.
John Cartwright has an amazing video about this.
Sure.
And now all of a sudden we're bringing three of the most seminal JRPGs ever to this platform. I think that's very, very compelling, and it starts to make like the Soul Hackers 2 on Xbox make a little bit more sense, or things like that. So
Mhm.
again, I would much rather play Persona on Switch. So
Yeah.
if this next week has the Direct and it has them in it, I'll play them on there probably.
Yeah.
Um, but it was huge seeing them here.
Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's weird, but it's huge. I think
Yes.
that these games being more accessible is a huge deal. I don't believe
Yeah.
Persona 3 has been re-released since PSP, as far
Yeah,
as I know.
you might be able to get it digitally on PS Vita and PS TV.
I guess I guess they still do have those stores up because they didn't close them.
Yeah.
But barely counts. Barely counts.
Yes.
But having this on another console that isn't PlayStation, big deal. I hope this does signal
Yeah.
these games coming to Switch. But I do think it is cool for Xbox. I hope this does signal them obviously diversifying it into more Japanese stuff and Japanese players being more interested in Xbox and stuff. But then the question becomes, is the majority of Xbox players, are they interested in this? Is that worth the deal? But is it worth the deal regardless, because now they have access to these things and these games are more accessible? It's a lot of questions, but for me, yeah, this is awesome. I want these games everywhere. So very, very happy with this.
Yeah. It means more to Xbox to get these than it does to Nintendo or PlayStation.
Sure. Yeah. Though I think it would mean more to more people if they were on Switch.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll see.
But that's not Microsoft's problem to
Of course.
with.
Naturally.
Yeah.
That doesn't factor into them at fucking all.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've also got Minecraft Legends releasing in 2023. It's a turn-based strategy game. Don't know. Didn't say gameplay. But Mojang doesn't develop many new games, so this is a big deal from that. It's one of their new games, obviously, under the Microsoft banner. Although they've been under the Microsoft banner for fucking ages now, so that's not really news. But that's a new first-party game announcement.
Yeah.
Will it be big? Who knows? Minecraft is the biggest that there is. But I can't. Oh, we did see gameplay for this. No, we definitely did. No, yeah, I just totally forgot that. I can't say if I get into it or not, but expanding the Minecraft IP, a new game from a first-party studio.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of this. I think the interesting X factor here is that Microsoft secretly has a lot of talent for turning their franchises into strategy games. Halo Wars is very popular. Gears Tactics is a very good game. So I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being quite excellent too. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care at all. No,
it's not even a game in terms of being a Microsoft first-party IP and stuff that you would be interested in trying on Game Pass, or is it?
I have no interest.
You see blocks and just.
My years of playing like 5 hours of Minecraft a day are so far in the past that I've been far more tantalized to like try Minecraft Dungeons or something. It's a little bit more my speed.
Sure.
But I'm not going to do that. And if I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
But again, another important announcement.
Yes.
For that family market.
Yeah. So. We've got I'm going to put the two back to back here, which I believe, if I've fucking tabulated everything correctly, the two new first party announcements from this showcase, which are Minecraft Legends, as we said, and Pentiment.
Yeah.
The Bardcore game coming from Obsidian. What the fuck?
What I thought Pentiment is I thought it was like a fake out for an Outer Worlds 2 trailer.
Sure.
Like what they did last year.
Yeah.
It wasn't.
But maybe more interesting than that.
Yes. This to me is like, you want to talk about Xbox doing weird stuff. Here it is.
Yeah.
This is a weird game. And it's immediately really repellent to me. But the more I think about it, I'm like, this is Obsidian. This is Microsoft. It's on Game Pass. This is a really fascinating concept, narrative-driven fucking bardcore game. Nothing else like this coming out anywhere. I can't even think of really any high-profile indie games that fall into this niche. I mean, like Bard's Tale and stuff like upcoming. I can't think of anything like this.
Bardo?
Baldo, very different. Baldo is a very different game.
Yeah, whatever.
But no, I'm fascinated by this, and I will try it. And if this game is like 6 hours long, we'll review it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Here's the thing. I saw this trailer. We saw Obsidian. The trailer finished. We're like, there's no way this is like New Vegas Obsidian, right?
Yeah.
And
But it
it
is.
fucking is. It is.
Yeah.
And that is secretly, I think this is the most interesting announcement of the entire show.
I think that's a fair point.
Because it signals what, and obviously very subjective, what I want from the new era of Microsoft's first-party studios. Is experimentation, is allowing them to put out more titles, smaller titles, more creative titles, more diverse titles that we really aren't seeing on the whole. They're doing a few grounded. I think obviously Obsidian kind of the
Just
forefront
fucking do
of
whatever
this.
they want. They got like 4 games in development right now.
Yeah, and fucking good for them. But I hope and I pray that Phil Spencer sees this, he sees what they're doing, and pushes their other studios to do things like this, because I want more Xbox first party games, period. But I want them on more different scales. I think that maybe a big part of why even looking forward to the games that they have announced, I'm a little bit shaky on how invested I'm going to be in their IPs, is a lot of their games seem to fall into very specific roles. We've got like 4 open world action RPGs coming from Bethesda Studio or from Microsoft Studios. Avowed, Everwild, Elder Scrolls, Starfield. Like,
well, we don't know what Everwild's going to be. Rare doesn't know what.
That's a great fucking point. But
it's a great. You make a good point.
And so I'm not excited for this game because it didn't look like it didn't instantly grab me.
Sure.
But now that I think about it, I have to try this game. I will try this game. A small game from Obsidian, from a Microsoft studio, a new first-party game that is very unique. Absolutely, I want to support this.
And to me, this is why Xbox is where I'm most interested to be playing games in. Because a first-party that goes from Pentiment to Forza Motorsport is fascinating to me.
Yeah. And also, random side tangent, that's also why I am so interested in Sony's PS3 era of experimentation. There was a lot of jumping from fucking the rain to the 40th fucking Ratchet and Clank game.
Is that service out tomorrow, by the way?
It is.
Nobody's talking about that.
No one's talking about it.
I'll try. Different conversation.
Yeah,
Tucker, are we down to the final thing of the showcase?
No.
Well,
we have 2 more. We have 3 more. Okay. Including the obvious.
Home stretch.
We're going to go big, small, big. Okay?
Okay.
We're going to go big. Diablo 4 is coming to Game Pass in 2023.
This game is going to be fucking huge and awesome, and I can't wait. Again, this was another... This is probably going to be the first... Well, it depends. If it depends on if this or Starfield launches first, because frankly, these games are about on the same tier.
Sure.
I think. Diablo 4 so long in development, right? Bethesda's got a lot to prove. Or sorry, not Bethesda. Blizzard has a lot to prove. Not only after...
In multiple ways.
Right. Not only because of the awful corporate culture that's allegedly been exposed, but also because, like, Blizzard's just kind of not having a great time right now. And Diablo Immortal's out and people are panning its monetization practices and everything. But this is a back to basics, god honest dungeon crawler. And it looks beautiful. We got a new class. They're like huge open world. It's that gothic style, but not yucky to me, like Scorn is. I am really excited to play this game. This is one of the Xbox games I'm most looking forward to playing. And I think this is one of the ones that is starting to really showcase how important these acquisitions are. Because this is a major, major title. So I can't wait to play Diablo 4.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. And of course, functionally, doesn't really matter. But at least in my mind, if the Activision Blizzard acquisition goes through before this game releases and they can officially call it an Xbox Game Studios game.
Yeah.
Functionally, doesn't matter if it's a logo before the game or not. But in terms of them shaping their layout of their year around a game of this magnitude, being in their staple of IP, this is a big deal, obviously. I could not tell you how this game is actually different from previous games. I've never played a dungeon crawler. I honestly, I've never played a Diablo game that fits in that fucking category. But I'm certainly willing to try this. I think maybe I'd want to get my feet wet by trying another Diablo game first to see if it appeals to me. But from what I hear, it could be exciting and interesting. But I'll have to wait to hear what people who are really into this are saying about this, because I can't tell from the outside. You've got your fucking pinky toe on the inside, from what you can tell, you're excited. But does that mean anything to me? No, whatever. But yeah, cool, very cool this year. Very cool it's coming to Game Pass.
Let's round it out.
Let's round it out with Cocoon. I big, small, big. We're going Cocoon next, which is the next game from one of the creators of Limbo and Inside. And looks like an indie game. In a not pejorative
Yeah.
way, it looks like a creative, unique game, unique visual style, puzzle solving from a reputable developer. I'm very interested in this game.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I think you laid it out nicely. Great talent, great aesthetic, interesting mechanics. Got me, and I haven't. It's like I can't quite understand how the game is played, and that interests me because everything else
You're
surrounding it is yeah. So quite excited for this one. Nothing more to add though.
yeah, and I believe Game Pass.
Yes,
Let me double check. Hold on. What is this? A 2023 game?
I
Yeah,
don't
it is.
fucking
Cocoon
remember.
is 2023, but vaguely 2023, like everything else. And then finally,
Yes, last game.
Starfield. We
Yeah,
finally got big gameplay, and this is gameplay. This is no sandwich sitting in a spaceship.
no,
Fucking fake out. Um, and I'm very interested to talk about this game because for me, this was this was the disappointment of the showcase from multiple angles. I think that from my subjective standpoint, having played Fallout 4, having
yeah,
played Skyrim, enjoying Bethesda's big games to the extent that I do, this game, Skyrim in space, Fallout in space, I think might work better as a mysterious concept than an idea and execution. Because what we saw here today, as I was watching, I'm like, yeah, what the fuck else did I expect? Yeah, it's an action RPG. It's an open world action RPG in space. Um, but I really do think that this was underwhelming because not only do I think that it didn't look very visually impressive. Of course, game has been in development for a very long time, but also they certainly have been pushing it as this next gen experience. The first thing we see of it is they've got this incredible engine, and as far as I can remember, they were trying to indicate that this is what the game was going to look like in terms of resolution and textures and stuff. So not only does the game not look very visually impressive, and I think surprisingly not visually impressive, but I also think that it is severely lacking in identity. It is another space RPG. Everything about the planets looks like the bare bones of sci-fi planets, the bare bones of ships. There's not really any colors, not any like super interesting characters. There's not like Fallout's got the Pit Boys and stuff. There's nothing really here in terms of identity for me to be like, yeah, this is Starfield. I don't know. I'm surprisingly disappointed in this, and I'd like for you to talk about my points and sort of maybe counteract them or whatever.
I don't really care because here's my feeling. This has been a very divisive showcase for Starfield in particular.
Sure.
I think your points are totally valid. I don't really have anything. I don't know. You're wrong for thinking the game looks bad. Your
Sure.
subjective view on the game is fucking dumb. I don't know. I think that's totally fair. Um, I think this game looks phenomenal. I think as I said, it was my most anticipated game of 2022. Now I guess it's my most anticipated game of 2023.
Mhm.
Because you're right. What else was I expecting? It's this is what I thought the game was going to be, and it's here.
Mhm.
But what I didn't expect, and what I'm tantalized by, is the idea that the more because I was fucking ruminating in the car. I'm like, what did I really think of Starfield? Right?
As you're known to do.
Taking an action RPG,
Yeah.
and taking No Man's Sky and putting it together gives you the game that I wanted No Man's Sky to be, but wasn't.
Absolutely. But the game that maybe No Man's Sky is now, but we haven't fully played it, so we don't know.
But yeah, but No Man's Sky is not really narrative driven. It's not like it's much more interested in its fucking like building houses and like deciphering alien languages nonsense, right?
Sure.
This is a tried and true, narratively driven, fucking do your quests, do your things game.
Mhm.
But now you're going out and you're scanning shit in the environment and you're learning about all of this, right? And where you see base level sci-fi, I see high concept realistic sci-fi. The way that you see Interstellar or Ad Astra and think that's
Sure. That's a good
just basic sci-fi, but maybe that's just what sci-fi would be in our world, right?
Mhm.
And I don't see that anywhere else. You think about No Man's Sky, obviously not that. It's
Yeah.
very much that fucking retro future, high saturation version
Same
of
with
sci-fi.
Outer Wilds. Same with Outer Worlds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the sci-fi we get is not the Christopher Nolan sci-fi.
Mhm.
And to me, this is what Starfield looks to be.
Mhm.
And that is a very compelling concept. The idea
Sure.
that we are stepping into like humanity's future in sci-fi. And it's not Mass Effect, right? It's not fucking crazy explosions and it's not a third person shooter. it's I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to all these planets. I'm going to customize my ship. We're seeing that sort of customization stuff from Fallout 4 come here, where we're seeing a better handle on gunplay, which has always been a pitfall of Bethesda game studios. We're seeing there's sort of ideas for world building, and there's so much concept art floating around in this game. Now seeing it in motion and that sleek sci-fi, a little bit, as you're saying, I think understated, but to me that understated is interesting because it's not No Man's Sky. It's not the Outer Worlds. I love the Outer Worlds, but it's not the Outer Worlds, right? And I think that's going to be really interesting. I mean, it's kind of telegraphed by that logo. It's very simple. Just Starfield, white, black in the background. Use that teaser. You just one ship, one shaped ship in the nebula. That was communicated to me, and I like the idea a lot of the customization of this game, and the idea that I'm going to just be going around these planets and doing my quests and leveling up my guy in this little minimalistic HUD plus 5 XP, right? Then I'm going to walk outside and scan the thing, and what am I going to get when I scan that thing? What does that mean? And then I can go into my ship and tinker with my ship, right, and fly out into space and have dogfights.
Yeah.
Obviously, the game has room to grow. But the idea that Bethesda, after running the same couple IP into the ground, is here to take it to space and to take it in a direction that games don't typically take space.
Yeah, sure.
In this more direct future approach, it's fascinating. This game's gonna be fucking enormous. Now it's either gonna be an enormous success or an enormous disappointment.
Sure.
And one of us is gonna be right, but we're not both gonna be right. And we're gonna see if this delay to probably March or so, we'll see if this delay was enough.
And we'll see also if it is in March, where does Redfall come out? Where does Forza come out? Where does Diablo come out? Who the fuck knows what this schedule is going to be like? But you make a very compelling point, one that is obviously like 180 degrees opposed to what I was saying, but one that I think also has validity. And you're right in that it is unique because it's not unique. And I think that's an interesting point. I think that maybe of course, all very subjective on our appeal of these aesthetics, but I think maybe the reason that games tend to not do this is because identity is important to the iconic nature of a game. I struggle to see astronaut person as the next big mascot, like fucking Vault Boy and Dovahkiin. Like, you put person in astronaut suit next to them, okay, then that is the identity of Starfield, but how is that marketable as an IP? Obviously, does that matter? Does that resonate with people on a larger scale? Will you be seeing Starfield stuff everywhere? I think it'll be big because it's Skyrim in space, but not necessarily because it's Starfield. And I'll be interested to see when this game does release if its identity and its story and its world building do resonate with people on a larger scale, because from what we've seen of this gameplay, I do find it a little bit hard to be grabbed by what I see as the base level of a sci-fi world of, these are people, but I wish they were more interesting people. I wish that the planets in space were more exaggerated, so I know, this is a Starfield planet as opposed to a planet. And of course, very subjective. I don't think that you're wrong for preferring that simplistic, and maybe it could be interesting, and I'm totally willing to try it. But unfortunately for me, and positively for other people, unfortunately for others, they went for something here.
Yeah,
and certainly not in the way I would have wanted them to.
This is the first game I've seen since probably Cyberpunk where I'm like, this is the game I'm going to play for a long time.
Sure,
and that's big because I don't get those too often. So. This is exactly what I wanted of a fucking video game. Because if I'm gonna dedicate myself to a game, I want it to be this. Get me my narrative, get me my player agents driven exploration, give me my shooting, give me my fucking research elements. Put it together and put it under the Bethesda name. I think you forget that Bethesda can sell a game that just says, we made another game. That's the title of the game. And it says Bethesda, and they sell.
Unless it's Rage.
It's a good point. But
God, that game came out.
Yeah. Starfield continues to be one of my most anticipated games. That's all I have to say. And we'll see. You very well could be right.
Well, we certainly will see, and we'll see soon.
I got nothing else to say, Tucker. We're in the video. Unless this is your final chance. Speak now or forever hold your peace.
No, I think that's good.